Here I have baked an 8-inch round Victoria's sponge cake in 2 separate pans. I have a separate tutorial for this and I will leave a link for that for you in the description below this video. You need to level each cake so it is exactly 4.5 centimetres deep. Start by placing some buttercream directly on top of the cake. This will prevent the jam from soaking in. Create a well on the outside, add the jam to the centre and then simply place more buttercream on top of the jam. I then place this in the fridge for a short while just to allow it to set before I add the second layer. You will find the buttercream recipe as a separate tutorial in a link below this video. So we had 2 layers of cake, both 4.5 centimetres deep and a filling at about 1 centimetre. So this will on average make your cake 4 inches deep, which is the perfect size for the moulds that we are going to be using for that beautiful sugar sheet decoration. You now simply want to crumb coat the cake with the rest of the buttercream and place this in a fridge until it's all lovely and set. So in order to cover my cake, I roll out 800 grams of grey fondant in between 5mm spaces. I then simply pick this up with the rolling pin and gently drape this over the cake. You then want to negotiate all of the pleats, cut off any excess fondant and take your time using your cake smoothers to smooth this out. So I just continue to smooth this out until I get a finish that I am happy with. And because it is a hot day, I do choose to place mine in the fridge. This is perfectly fine. When you do take it out of the fridge, it will sweat slightly. This is only condensation and it will not damage your cake. So now it's time for the fun part, the sugar sheets. Now I'm making 2 batches of this, so you're going to need 360 grams of caster sugar. And you want to start by placing this into a food safe bag. Now you want to add a food colouring of your choice. I'm using this gorgeous teal paste colour, or you can use a gel. Simply directly add this to the bag and then colour the sugar just by rubbing it together with your finger. It can take a while to colour, but as you can see, it works. It's very easy to do, so just be patient. Now, because we're making 2 batches, you now want to add 4 tablespoons of liquid glucose directly to this bowl of sugar. The reason I have my liquid glucose in that Pyrex jug of water, it was actually in really hot water. It makes the liquid glucose a lot easier to use when it's warm. So add 4 tablespoons directly to the sugar. Start by mixing with a spoon first and then just get your hands in there. And it really is as simple as that. That is the sugar sheet recipe. I need to cover the cake drum first. So I start by taking all of the sugar sheet recipe and I place it in between these 2 pieces of baking parchments. Now you can see on the top piece I have actually drawn a 12-inch round circle just so I have a guide as to how big it needs to be. Simply roll this out in between the baking paper first. Taking your cake drum, simply add some of the liquid glucose. This will act like a glue. Flip this upside down and place it directly onto the rolled out sugar sheet. Then, very carefully, using the baking paper as support, flip this so it's the correct way round and you can cut off any excess sugar sheet. There will be enough excess sugar sheet in order to create the pattern along the outside of the cake. I then left the cake drum in the oven at 50 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes to allow it to set. And here I am now adding my chilled cake, which has just come directly out of the fridge, to the decorated cake drum. We can now start decorating the cake with that beautiful sugar sheet effect. Start by adding a very small amount of the sugar sheet recipe tray and roll it in between 2 pieces of baking paper. You need this to be extremely thin, about 2 millimeters. Using the new Garden Gate Onlay by Marvellous Molds, which I will leave a link to for you in the description below this video, you want to place this directly onto the sugar sheet, and then I like to use a rolling pin. It will help the indentations come through much better, just so you can see where to remove the extra parts with a Dresden tool. Once you have removed the extra parts, place this in an oven at 50 degrees centigrade for about 8 minutes. So this panel has just come out of the oven. I simply flip it onto some baking parchment and allow it to cool for about 4 to 5 minutes. You will know when you have allowed it to cool for long enough because you will physically be able to peel away the actual mould. Now, because of the design that this is, the reason I've chosen to do it this way is because it's much easier to then pick the design up and place it directly onto a steamed cake. If you don't have steam, you can use edible glue, but do be careful because the sugar sheets can absorb the edible glue. These are designed to meet where they start to finish. So on an 8-inch cake, you will need 4 panels and they will fit flawlessly. Simply repeat this 3 more times. Here you can see me add the second panel and just how beautifully the pattern works and meets up. Just make sure it's secured onto the cake correctly. And finally here, speeded up, you can see me add the third and the fourth final panel to this cake. Now, who would have thought getting a beautiful pattern completely made from a sugar sheet would have been as easy as that, because it really is very, very simple and easy to do, Unfortunately, the lighting doesn't really pick up on the true sparkle of these sugar sheets. It's best to look at them in photographs, but when you make your own, I guarantee you will absolutely love them. And it's just sugar, so it's completely edible. I really do hope I've helped you again today. Remember, this is the new Garden Gate Onlay by Marvellous Molds, which you can find just below this tutorial. And I'll be back soon, guys, with more new, completely free content. Happy baking, everyone.